We have this war between men and women in culture today, boys versus girls, when we don't understand where to go from here and we don't really know what's going to happen because we've never been in this spot before in all of human history. You can't pick up a history book and understand like, okay, women got jobs, they got birth control, they got out there into the workplace and now they're running things. Not to the same degree some rare men are, but wow, what do we do about this? But my intentions today with making this video is to help the world have a better and more effective conversation about how both sides can work cooperatively together, what a man is, what a woman is, and how that cooperation is actually supposed to work and in this modern world. Because we have a problem. Right now, most young boys are single. I think it's 60%. The numbers were just released in the last month. Who knows? But it's a lot. More than's ever been in history. And right now, most boys are in love with girls on their phones, different girls every single night, just swipe, swipe, swipe. So that urge is satiated to go out there into the world and to find that woman that they actually want. And on the other end, they're also semi-depressed and hopeless in themselves and in their place in the world. And they've lost hope in women as a whole today in society. For a young boy and a young girl, but not to the same degree, it's dangerous in a sense to pursue a young relationship because everyone has the ability to swipe for humans on their phone, Snapchat secrets to anyone that they like. You have men liking your girlfriend's photos all the time whenever they post something, and you don't know what to do about this. You kind of just push the other way, let the girl do her thing, but most men are very uncomfortable with this. And women are as well. Women know that the man can also reach out and hit up some girl or match some girl on some dating app and bang, slip away in the middle of the night and no one knows. And on top of this mutual problem, women are having a hard time figuring out what their actual role is in this world. It's like, do you go for a career, you make a bunch of money, oh shit, now I'm working in a career and I have a kid now or multiple kids and oh fuck, like what do? How do I balance both of these things? I don't want to be judged by society and my friends for just being a mother or just going for a career. Like, what's the happy medium here? So there's a lot of confusion in the air, and it's pivoting both of us against each other with a lot of resentment, frustration, and misunderstandings between the two sexes in this modern world. And I'm here to help everyone in the world think in a better way, in a better direction on this subject, to help start some better international conversations on these issues. The Eastern world is laughing at us, just laughing at what's currently going on in Western culture. But we all know most of the Eastern world is living in the past, in a sense, in a more traditional way that your Americans and English women are not going to want to fit themselves into. We don't want to reverse time. We don't want to walk backwards. But what we need to do is we need to be able to look at the past, to look at the East, look at history, and understand how men and women have worked together to get us in humanity to this point where we're at now, but also figure out a way to cooperate together in the immediate moment and also work out better roles for ourselves into the future so we can all be happy and we can find the love and connection and romance that we all actually want deep down. No one actually wants to stay single forever. They just haven't found the right person that amplifies them in all the right ways and can create a synergistic relationship where both the man and the woman, or whatever it may be, man and man, woman and woman, can bond together in a way that creates not 1 + 1 = 2 or 1 + 1 = 1.5, but 1 + 1 = 5. Because we all know every movie, every story, every book that we've ever read, what is it about? There's always love in there. There's always something going on between two people. I think the couple, the bond there is necessary for the survival of humanity, not only, but also is how human beings and individuals can flourish in this world. And I'll get to why towards the end of this video or podcast, wherever you might be looking. Now, right now we have men and women competing against each other instead of competing with each other. It's a major problem because it sets us against each other and creates this division, resentment, frustration, everything that I mentioned earlier. And we all lose because everyone deep down wants that happy life and that happy partnership for the most part. You don't want to be alone in this world forever. You might have great friends now, but when you turn 30 or 35 or 40, your friends are going to be married off with happy families and loving wives and whatever it may be. right? And that'll come with its own problems and challenges, but no problem is worse than going into this world completely alone, way out into the future, decades and decades. You're gonna be 80 years old and have nothing but money and a retirement account and just yourself, just staring at the wall, and no kids, no grandkids, no great-grandchildren, nobody supporting you, no network around you to give you the fun and love and attention and adventure and feedback. Now, why does this matter on a global level? So right now, well, not right now, for all of human history, just one look at history, it will show you how easy it is to topple a civilization. Nations fall left and right all through human history by the decade, even in modern time. You can look at global conflicts happening right now across the world. It is unbelievable. Eastern Europe for the last 30 years has constantly been shifting borders and governments and countries falling and collapsing left and right. Like, this isn't a new thing, and our time is coming unless we know how to make ourselves stronger as people. And if you're on the same page as me, a man and a wife remain a man, a couple, right? Two is so much stronger than one. That bonds people. It provides the structure and the fabric of society. And the reason why we need the structure of society is so not only do we all prosper and cooperate together in a healthy way, and we're all able to be happy and on adventures and learning and growing and achieving and improving and making more money and having more fun and more adventure and more love, whatever it might be. We need this not only for us as individuals, but for society to stay intact. Because here's the thing, this thing, we're on the cusp of real AI. ChatGPT is just the one little slice of what the entire pie is going to look like, what the entire machine is going to look like in the coming years. And it's going to be used by those in power behind the politicians, behind the curtains, to sway elections and global ideas, to separate people, to make people weaker, to make them more submissive and obedient. Because once you have all the money in the world, once you can print money, once you can control economies, what do you want? You want more control, more power. If you have unlimited money, what else is there? Because money is energy, money is power. And if your whole life you've dedicated everything, your entire family line, generations, for thousands of years to gaining money, which is power, you really just want power. So these dark people of the world that you do not know of and see, these forces are behind the wall of society, hidden from the normal population, and they are lurching in and grabbing more power, and they're going to use tools like AI to subvert, distract, and manipulate the ideas of the masses. Obviously, you can see that on a small scale just through the algorithms that were watching these videos or podcasts online. They are controlled by machines that were coded by humanity, by human beings. And humans always have hidden goals and intentions underneath what they do at the top rungs of society. And the men and women at the top end of society, they want the submission and complete obedience and slavery of the world. Not necessarily the slavery that you think in human history, but they want total and complete control. Global order. That is power. So if you separate men and women, you crumble the most potent bond that makes human beings stronger than anything else in history. There's a saying that everybody knows, every great man has a greater woman behind him, and that's true for me. It's true for so many of the greatest minds out here in the world. We would be nothing without great women as well, and vice versa. And we'll get to that in a minute. And if you're on this channel for the first time, this is a place where I want to help the world and myself understand and sharpen our ideas on true success in all of life's categories. I want to help bend the world in a better direction because all of us, you and I both know that the world is bending towards a darker and a more chaotic and nihilistic direction. We don't know what to do. We've become gods of the planet and have no idea what the future is going to look like. And individuals aren't fighting to make themselves into something anymore. We don't have a collective vision of the population to do something and conquer something or to build a better world for ourselves. You have Silicon Valley tweaking with the human mind every left and right chance that they get, and men in power, true power, funding all of this activity to control the world in the way that they see fit. But that's not how the United States came to be. The United States was founded by men that wanted to give power to the people for the first time, because all of human history, monarchies, dictatorships, if you said something wrong about the king or queen, your throat was cut out from your tongue was cut out from your throat. Your children were killed and hanged in front of you. This is how human history has actually been by those in real power. And we have a chance of losing this over a long enough time span, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Unless we as people decide to bond together and figure out our purposes in this world to get us on a better direction for everyone, but most of all, of course, ourselves. Now, as you get into this, if you like what I'm saying, if you like what I'm talking about, or even if you don't and you want to support what I'm doing, no matter what, like, review, subscribe, share, comment, anything you can to help get this message going. I also have Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, you name it. I have all the platforms. You can find my link at the bottom of this podcast or video. I'd love to see your comments or you connect with me on the other spaces, right? Now, why me? Why listen to me on this certain video, this certain subject? So, I was born into a very traditional household. I was raised in a small church and a small public school. Well, for some years of my childhood, I was in public school, and I got to see how humanity has shifted and changed after the inventions of social media platforms. I've been watching with my eyes wide open. I've always been a thinker. I've always been curious. I've always been trying to figure things out. And I've seen men and women divert more and more and more and more over the last 20 years. And for my relationship experience with other women, I've had many deep and long-term relationships in the last 12 years, some ending up catastrophic, betrayal left and right, and some fizzling out for lack of communication and compatibility and all types of other reasons. And I've really had to think deeply on why each of these breakups occurred, why each relationship didn't work out. What's the most optimal and effective way for a man and a woman, or really masculine and feminine energy, to cooperate in a relationship, to maintain it, the spice, the happiness, the fulfillment across the whole duration of the relationship. And in this time, the last 7 years, I've built a company with a lot of great people, men and women. And in that time, I've interviewed in person at least over 1,000 people in my time here. And I've been known here in the office for really playing psychologist when I talk to people. I'm way more interested in who somebody is and how they work deep down than just if they're the right fit for the job. I'll spend sometimes 3-4 hours with people in an interview setting when I kind of knew 5 minutes in that this wasn't a right fit. But we're having a good time, and I'm really interested in exploring the psychology of this human being in front of me and understanding how they work, why they do what they do. And I'll be able to get people to a place where they're extraordinarily vulnerable and honest with me because I'd be super honest and vulnerable with them first. So these interviews would end up honestly, psychological evaluations one-on-one. They know a ton about me. I know so much about them. And they'd always comment on that. This is the deepest and the longest and the craziest interview I've ever had in my life. So I've used all of that time to understand the workings of men, women, individuals, humanity itself. And so with all of that, I can share my ideas here with you. So how do men and women work together? What is a man? What is a woman? So first, masculine, feminine, man, woman, generally speaking. Each person in the world shares both energies, but they tilt farther in one direction. Some people are extremely masculine, and they've been born that way. They've been like that since they hit puberty, right? And some men and most women are very feminine, right? But there's this in-between, right? And that's kind of how we have this transgender, confusing, LGBTQAI plus time, you could say, because people are in the middle and they've always not been able to really understand what side of the spectrum that they belong on, and then they've always been trying to find their place. And we've suppressed a lot of this in culture, right? So now it's coming out. And it's coming out full force, right? But that's just a side effect of people misunderstanding and also leaning into their feminine side or masculine side more so than the other, right? It's a game that we're playing and we're trying to figure out when you're in the middle, at least. So what is masculine? What is on an average, what is a man? From my experience, I believe a man is a provider, a protector, a challenger, someone that is more stoic in nature, They have less of an emotional template. They feel less positive and negative. They're a creator. They have strength and determination and a level of aggression. The farther you get on the masculine side of things, the more aggression they'll tend to have. And the man, or the masculine energy in all of us, by the way, because we all share different energies on this spectrum, you can be 70% masculine and 30% feminine, but both of them exist in an immature state and have to be grown and developed over time. We're talking about the noble traits here, right? Like, what does a good man and the good masculine side look like? And the good side of masculine energy thrives on challenge, adventure, and having something to work for and work towards. The masculine knows how to deal with death and serve death. All war is created by man, but they protect life through force. All great wars started by men or for women and children behind the scenes. That's the purpose. Now, it's not the singular driver in all men, but it is a primary driver in all men. We want to protect and provide. And a man lives to become competent enough in order to attract the beautiful woman that they want one day. It takes a lot of time and a lot of energy in the modern world. Most boys aren't working at the farm at 4 and 5 years old like they used to, being taught by their father one-on-one every day for years and years and years when they're kids. We get shipped off to school, and we're in a classroom mainly taught by a lady at the front, especially during those early years. So our development has to occur over time. Like 20 to 30 years old, that's the years men really actually get developed, from boy to a man. That is the time, or it should be the time, of course. We're going to talk about good men here, the optimal man, right? The optimal masculine side of our nature. And you see this in women because women tend to go for older men. Why? Older men have more status, are more competent, have more resources, and are more developed because it takes more time for men to develop. But in this modern world, a man has to choose to develop consciously. If you just work at Starbucks from 20 to 30 years old and that's it, and low-level retail jobs, and you stay stuck in these places where you're just accepting orders and clicking buttons really fast, you're not going to develop. So it's up to a man to constantly choose and notch out another part of the journey along the way, to set challenges and goals and a vision for himself and his life, and to go out there and to get them over and over and over. But most men are depressed today because you don't have to do that anymore. Life is much easier now than it was 100 and 400 years ago. So you have to create this desire in yourself by just choosing to act, choosing to go, and choosing to get up and move onto a new destination, and always be fighting and searching for a better place and a better vision to, at the end of the day, find and attract the beautiful woman, keep her and provide for her, and then provide and protect the family unit. Because deep down, through all the trauma, all the messed up beliefs and things that have happened to you and your environment, this is what, generally speaking, most men literally want more than anything in the world. It's like, why else are you at a bar or you're at a club and you see a girl get smacked or some guy like manhandle a girl? All these guys just step up out of nowhere and just really have this urge, to protect this girl, to fight for this girl instantly. It's like a button clicks. That's just a little part on the surface of man's nature. No matter how bad they might be, they want to stand up and they want to fight. They might not have the hope and the faith in themselves to do that. They might hesitate. They might not stand up. They might sit down, but they're going to shame themselves for that, And we'll get to how to develop men in this modern world and how to get that encouragement going, to get the men up to the standard that the women of the world actually want the men to be at, right? Now, for the woman, a woman is a nurturer. They're more emotionally alive. I'd say they're more playful, more spontaneous, more intuitive in nature. They're more spirited. They're a supporter fundamentally, and they care for other human beings emotionally. Men, on the other hand, provide practically for others. That's what they like doing. They like paying for things. The women like caring for things, caring for people. And different from the man, a woman thrives having safety, being comfortable, having connection with others, and making sure everyone in the group or their group is cared for. They want to make sure everything is on even keel. If a child falls over and kind of hurts their knee, who rushes to the child first? It's the woman. The man will stand up and try to challenge the kid. Oh, you're good. Get up. Let's go. And the woman's like, no. Let me care for her. So that's like a funny relationship battle. And even if you're single, you get out there and you see a kid fall down, who's going to run over and help the kid up first? Or not even help the kid up, but just like make sure that the kid knows that they're cared for and they're felt for in that moment. That's the woman. You know how men know how to deal with death? Women know how to deal with life. Men protect life, but women create life. They literally create it out of their womb. It comes out of them. They create this being. But not only that, the creation of a being happens over time. They have to be developed. And they're developed through encouragement and care and nurturing and caring for their emotional side of themselves. Because we're all fragile creatures underneath whatever might be on top of us. But a woman creates life through love. Men protect life through force and through control and through making boundaries and creating order in the world and structure, rules, setting clear expectations and direction for how things should go, right? But understand, I might be saying man and woman here, but you can interchange them for masculine and feminine. Everybody has a primary energy, but we all have both and we all need to develop both. A goal in becoming a great individual is by balancing both sides. Of course, you want to hammer on your strengths and develop those the most, but you're not going to get very far in life if you're this stoic man that can't feel anything for anybody else. You just don't really, and you never developed much empathy. You can't really feel what somebody else is feeling, so you just never try. But how are your relationships going to play out? What love are you going to feel if you can't give love to other human beings? Right? So as we speak here, just understand the masculine and the feminine, they both have to be developed separately, but together in all human beings. But we all exist in one realm, primarily speaking. Now, back to women. Women, they live to find the best of men, which is someone that is honest, has the highest status, and the most resources that the woman can manage to get. Just like Jordan Peterson and what his mind tells us, at least, is men sort themselves into dominance hierarchies. They compete for status, and the women do whatever they can to trim off of the top and down, working to get whatever they can, the best that they can, right? But now we're in a funny new world where we're both competing in the primary dominance hierarchy that men always had, which is their career, the business, the farm, the whatever it might have been in culture, at least in free countries, right? The United States, since we've been in the beginning. Now we're both in this hierarchy. We both have careers. We're both making money, and we don't understand how all of this is actually supposed to work out. Because back in the past, we had to live the way that we were at that time. Men went out to fight and to care and to provide and to protect their family that they had, generally speaking, of course. And the women did everything that they could to create life. Well, one, you wouldn't know that when you have sex, you create a kid, right? There was no pull-out method. There was no birth control. You just had kids every year, constantly. And so you're always caring for children. You're nurturing and caring and providing and taking care of the emotional side and the developmental side of these kids. The men would be out in the fields working with their hands, working with practical things, choosing the direction, the vision, the plans, thinking on how to get forward and how to create a safer and more stable place. If a famine's coming, do we need to pack up and move to this spot? Do we need to take over this town and kill these people to provide for our families and our tribe that we have, because we're going to starve if we don't? Like, that's how human history was. The men shed the blood and the women pick up the pieces and mend the emotions at the end of the day. And they create the life. Right now, in this modern world, things are very different, obviously. So how do we work together? So a good man will work his whole life to get and provide for the woman. Men have to spend a lot of time, 10, 15 years, to develop and create themselves into something worthy of a good woman that they're wanting, or worthy of being a dad. You got to a stable place and okay, now it's okay for us to have kids, right? This is a good man, a conscious man that's thinking out into the future. And women develop much faster and are more intuitive with their responsibilities. It's like there's this trope going on Instagram stories and culture right now, really, or reels or whatever they are, of how women don't exactly self-improve. The thing is, they don't have to. They're born to be cared for and protected because what they provide the world is the most valuable thing. Human life itself and love, which every good man wants deep down in his soul, regardless of what bullshit he might tell you. And almost all women know that they want love. They romanticize it. Prince Charming, the Disney movies, you name it. They want this man to come and to sweep them off their feet. Every romance novel, that's how it is. You have this rugged, masculine guy that comes in and kind of takes control and, or rather takes control of her emotions. Not in the way that you're thinking, but he's able to seduce her in the way that she wants to be seduced. She wants to submit. She wants to feel small. She wants to feel feminine. She wants to live in that energy. But only if she's safe and comfortable first, by the way. Trauma, dad problems, that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother side of the coin that has to be worked out first. And that's why a lot of women in today's culture are going far too far on the masculine side of things because they don't feel safe enough with their own dads and with the men that they've dated out here in the real world, or vice versa, one or the other. But that's for another conversation. So being that a good woman develops much faster, they're born knowing their responsibilities. They literally walk around with baby strollers at 3 years old. They're playing with these things. They pick them out themselves. This isn't social conditioning like you think. Go look at children. Look at them and see how they work. The men are all interested in the car. They're playing with the wheels. They're trying to understand how this Hot Wheel works. They're looking at it and they're using it. What are the girls doing? They're looking at people. They're interested in each other. They're more cooperative in nature. The boys are rough and tumble playing, and the girls are talking more. The guys are much more nonverbal than young girls. And the guys are more interested in building shit and here, give me some Legos and let me just construct stuff. This is just what I do. It's how they were born. And the women are more interested in people. They're more interested in other children, in other babies, in fake babies that they literally hold and pretend that they're moms at 4 years old, right? So a good woman will spend her entire life caring for others, while the men spend the time gaining status and resources to protect and provide for the woman that cares for them and the children, fundamentally speaking, primarily from the emotional side of the coin. People need to be nurtured and encouraged and communicated with and connected to and talked with, right? And no person is better in this world than a good woman to do that. Now, it takes maturity to get to this point, just like it takes maturity to get to the other side of the man spectrum. So combined, what do these look like in society? How can they work together in a synergistic way? What does this harmony look like in this new modern world? I'm going to keep this very simple because we already covered parts of this. See, early on, what I believe the world is going to look like in the Western world, at least, is men are just not going to develop quick at all. 500 years ago, they were ready at 14, 18 for war and relationships. Now, you're still a child at 22 years old. You just are. But that's okay. Because a child, a boy, is full of potential to create himself into what he wants to be, as long as it's alignment with him and his natural personality, of course. So with men taking so much longer to develop, they're not going to become men until they're 30, 35. Women are in this cycle where they graduate universities at skyrocketing rates, way faster than men, by the way, way more than men, which is a good thing, but sad for boys. That's another topic, of course. But women are going to inadvertently be more focused on their own career and getting themselves together in that 20 to 30 year period, right? Or not 20 to 30, really like 20 to 25. They're going to graduate college, they're going to get a good job, but then they're most of the time going to be swept up by men that are 30 to 35 to up to 40 years old, because that's the ages in modern time that men are really developed and matured. They've built a good life for themselves, their credit score is great, their debit card always works, they have the money, they have the career, they have the house, they might have the boat, might have the four-wheelers. Who knows what kind of adventure that the man set up for himself in his own life. And women are going to be swept up somewhere between, not as young as 20, that'd be more rare to actually get settled down and be able to get married, but I'd say 25 to 30. So I will go back to 25 to 30. That's when I think women are going to end up dating and marrying the man that's 30 to 35 to 40. But we have a funky situation here because every guy wants a pretty woman. They go after beauty first and foremost. Women go after status and honesty. They want someone that they can trust. That takes maturity and experience to be able to understand and recognize someone that's trustworthy for the most part. But the men right now in today's world don't want to settle down once they have the status, once they have the resources, and once they've developed themselves into a man capable of being a good father and a good husband. Because right now, promiscuity is so massive and has swung so far in a direction that you can shop for humans and find girls to sleep with on your phone once you get to that level as a man one day in your 20s or 30s. So too many men aren't wanting to settle down because the other side of the coin, the women, are more promiscuous and free now in a way that's not serving both sexes in the very best way. Because women are the drug dealers. They are the gatekeepers, fundamentally speaking, when it comes to sexuality. The men make themselves and say the things that they need to say in order to get the woman, right? I know this is a really hard subject here. I know this is also, especially if you're a girl, all this is like just hard to hear, especially from an emotional perspective. But it is reality that we live in today, and we have to start talking about these things in order to build a better world for ourselves so we can figure out how to actually fall in love and stay happy. Because a good man is there to lead and to listen, and a good woman is there to support and encourage. And all of this together, but primarily speaking from this side and that side. And you can't have that if both man and woman don't trust in a relationship and understand the reasons and the power of a good relationship and find it worthy enough to pursue. Men that were young porn addicts now can become sex addicts if they want to. And women are free to do anything that they want. It's also very difficult for a man to settle down with a girl because the girl, for the most part, from a very young age, has now grown addicted to the social media platforms in the sense that she's using them for validation of what she looks like. Because we're talking about pretty girls here, right? Not all pretty girls, but men want a beautiful girl. They want the prettiest girl that they can get, that they feel compatible with, that they're in the same level with. But a lot of these are separate problems that we'd have to dive into on other videos, on other podcasts. There's a lot of topics here to cover to understand why we're doing the things that we're doing today and what we're missing out on by doing these things that we're doing. Women want appreciation and validation and acceptance more than anything, besides safety, of course. If social media is giving that to them so much, then why would a man be worth it? Why would one man's validation and acceptance and appreciation be enough for many girls today? But these are different issues to talk about. But overall, I think what we cannot do is we can't throw out all of human history and just judge it, put it in a little box, compartmentalize it, and just say the past is the past, we're in a new world now. You have to look to the past to understand it in order to plot out a better future for ourselves. And I believe that man and woman, masculine and feminine energy, are the perfect match together, combined. Because that relationship is that which grows both of them at the optimal rates to become much better, more competent, more healthy, more happy, more loving, more confident human beings out here in the world. And I hope this was able to help you in some way, just at least spark some ideas and some thoughts on how this new world is working in the way that men and women exists out here. If you enjoyed this, please like, review, share, subscribe, everything that you can, and follow me and start commenting on all the other platforms. I really do read a lot of comments each week. I respond to many. If you have any questions, just leave them below. Any thoughts you have, I listen. I want this to be a global discussion because I want to really sharpen my ideas on this subject and figure out how to make this world move in a better direction. So we can all just be happier, healthier, richer, successful, everything that you can. Because at the end of the day, everyone wants a good life. No one wants a bad life. So have a great rest of your week. I'll be talking to you soon. Bye.